will start with a roll call of board members.
Thank you. Director Garcia?
Present.
Director Moore?
Present.
Thank you. Director Hawkins is not here yet. Vice President Jenkins?
Present.
And President Young.
Present.
4 or 5 are present. We do have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Dan, would you lead us?
Sure. And right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our invocation will be from Elder Tom McCall. Elder McCall, if you'd please lead us in the opening invocation.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Heavenly Father, God, we just thank you for the meeting tonight, and we thank you for these people who are serving their constituents and representing them. We pray, Lord, that you give them wisdom and guidance as they make decisions regarding the county, and we just thank you so much for what they're doing, and we ask that you continue to bless them. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you very much. All right. So before we do the closed session public participation, I believe we have a staff introduction.
New
Gentlemen?
staff introduction from the Public Outreach and Government Affairs Department. Socorro.
Good evening, President Young, members of the board. This evening, I'm excited to announce the new member of the West Valley Water District team and of the Public Outreach and Government Affairs team as well, Kimberly Cerrone. Kimberly recently received her master's in public administration from Cal State Fullerton and a bachelor's of arts in political science from UCLA. Her experience working in government includes serving as a district representative for California State Senator Richard Roth, and most recently working as a business development analyst at the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. In her new role, Kimberly will continue to expand the district's outreach with our customers and the community WVD serves. Please join me in welcoming Kimberly to the team.
Good evening, President Young, Vice President Jenkins, and members of the board. My name is Kimberly Cerrone, and I'm honored to be serving as the West Valley Water District's new Public Outreach and Government Affairs Representative 2. Thank you for this opportunity. I have been looking forward to it since I received the offer, and I'm excited to just be here in your presence this evening. I look forward to all of the great work we will produce for the residents of this district, and again, thank you for this opportunity.
All right. Welcome so much to the team. We're so happy to have you here. All right. So now we will go to the public participation for closed session items.
Sorry. Members of the public may participate and give public comment in one of 4 ways: in person at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom,
I
via
don't think your
telephone.
mic's on.
I'm sorry. It's off. It's on. Hear it? Can't hear it.
You're really soft.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes, that's
Okay,
better.
sorry. Members of the public may participate and give public comment in one of 4 ways: in person at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom, via telephone by calling the following number and access code 888-475-4499 with access code 840-293-7790, via Zoom with access code 840-293-7790, or via email to administration@wvwd.org. We've received no in-person requests to give public comment or via email. I don't think we've got anybody on Zoom.
Okay. Anybody in the audience? Going once, going twice. Okay, so we will go ahead and close public participation for closed session items, and we will recess into closed session. Thank you.
fact sheets here. Looks good.
All right, thank you very much. We are back from closed session. We'll start with the report out from closed session.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The board met in closed sessions on both items listed, and there was no reportable action.
Okay, great, thank you so much. All right, board, before us, we have an agenda. Does anyone have any edits, changes, or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the agenda as is.
Okay, I have a first. Do we have a second?
I second.
Who was that seconded?
We'll give it to,
Thank you.
it was very close.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call vote. Director Moore?
Yes.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Garcia?
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
President Young?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. All right, next up we have public participation.
Thank you. Public may participate in one of four ways and give public comment in one of four ways. In person at West Valley Water District's Administrative Boardroom, via telephone by calling 888-475-4499, access code 840-293-7790, via Zoom with access code 840-293-7790, or via email to administration@wvwd.org. We received nothing via email. I'm not too sure about anyone, and in person, I'm not too sure about Zoom.
All right, is there anybody in person or on Zoom who would like to speak? If so, please indicate at this time or unmute yourself. All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public participation. And next up, we'll go to presentations, and we have a presentation on the State Water Project tonight.
Yeah, just as a little introduction to this item, a few meetings ago, you may recall that Linda presented on our various water resources, groundwater and surface waters, which includes surface water from the State Water Project, which is an important supplemental water source for the district and our entire region. So tonight, Linda has some additional details and a look ahead for the State Water Project. Linda?
Thank you, John. President Young, members of the board, I have an update or presentation for you on State Project Water. So the West Valley Water District's water supply comes from groundwater and surface water. The majority does come from groundwater, but our surface water is a very important portion of our water supply portfolio. Our local surface water from Lytle Creek is approximately 29%, and imported surface water from the State Water Project is 4%. But that changes annually, can go from 4% to 15%, depending on the needs of the district. This water comes from Northern California and is treated at the Oliver P. Romer Water Filtration Facility, which is purchased from our wholesale water provider, the San Bernardino Valley Municipal Water District. They are one of 29 wholesale agencies contracted for water supplies, and they're the 5th highest water allocation with a Table A allocation of 102,600 acre-feet per year. As you can see from the map, the majority of West Valley's service area falls within Valley District's service area. So the State Project Water, what is it? It's multiple purpose water storage and delivery system which extends over 700 miles length of California. It's a collection of tunnels, canals, pipelines, reservoirs, and hydroelectric power plants. It collects water from the rivers in Northern California, which go into Lake Oroville, through the delta to San Luis Reservoir, down the California Aqueduct, through the East Branch, where it's delivered to West Valley. The State Water Project starts at the Sierra Nevada mountains in Northern California and snowfall each year. 3 rivers, 3 Feather River lakes sit on top of the lake of the State Project water and feed into the Feather River, which feeds into Lake Oroville. Those are the Antelope Lake, Frenchman Lake, and Lake Davis. I have a quick, not so quick video for you, but I'll try and make it short.
Not so quick video.
The forks of the Feather River feed into Lake Oroville, which is contained by Oroville Dam, the tallest dam in the United States at 770 feet. Constructed in the 1960s, Lake Oroville is the second largest reservoir in California and can store more than 3.5 million acre-feet of water. In addition to Oroville Dam, the Oroville Thermalito Complex includes 3 power plants: Hyatt, Thermalito Diversion Dam, and Thermalito Pumping Generating Power Plant, which together can produce 835 megawatts of electricity, enough clean hydropower to power 1.6 million homes for a year. While its primary purposes are water supply, hydroelectricity generation, and flood control, Lake Oroville also offers a variety of recreation opportunities. Water continues from Lake Oroville down the Feather River until it meets up with the Sacramento River in southern Sutter County, just north of Sacramento. From there, the water heads south along the Sacramento River, winding its way through the farmlands of the northern Sacramento Valley, through downtown Sacramento, and into California's Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. Once in the Delta, water is diverted to different parts of the state. The Cordelia Pumping Plant in Solano County is part of the North Bay Aqueduct System, which provides water to cities in Napa and Solano counties. Water is pumped from the Delta at Barker Slough Pumping Plant and travels over 27 miles in an underground pipeline to its storage terminus in the city of Napa. Further south, water from the Delta is moved to the Clifton Court Forebay in Contra Costa County. This shallow reservoir sits at the southern end of the Delta and provides storage and flow regulation into the Banks Pumping Plant. At Banks Pumping Plant, water is pumped up a hillside 244 feet to start its journey south along the 444-mile-long California Aqueduct. The plant includes 11 pumps to move water into the canal and divert water during wet months to off-stream storage reservoirs and groundwater basins south of the Delta to improve water supply reliability. Just a mile downstream from the Banks Pumping Plant, Bethany Reservoir marks the beginning of the South Bay Aqueduct. Here, the South Bay Pumping Plant moves water to the west to serve communities in Alameda and Santa Clara counties. Along the way, Lake Del Valle in Alameda County provides storage and flood control for the South Bay Aqueduct. Back in the Central Valley, the California Aqueduct stretches south through hundreds of miles of farmland and towns. The aqueduct is the most recognized facility in the State Water Project. It is the primary method for transporting water from Northern California to Southern California. The concrete-lined canal winds its way through the valley, and travelers along Interstate 5 can see the glistening waters of the canal. The California Aqueduct moves water by gravity with a little help from pumping plants along the way. Along the western side of the Central Valley in Merced County, the California Aqueduct enters O'Neill Forebay. This body of water is part of the larger San Luis Reservoir Joint Use Complex that serves both the State Water Project and the Federal Central Valley Project. San Luis Reservoir is the nation's largest off-stream reservoir. The reservoir stores water diverted from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta for later deliveries to the South Bay Area, Central Valley, Central Coast, and Southern California. Overlooking San Luis Reservoir is the Romero Visitor Center. Romero offers exhibits and videos that highlight California's world-renowned water delivery system and the importance of water in our lives, along with impressive views of the reservoir. With no watershed to support San Luis, the Gianelli Pumping Generating Plant moves water from the O'Neill Bay into San Luis Reservoir. The plant generates electricity when water flows are reversed. To the south of San Luis, the Dos Amigos pumping plant gives water a 113-foot lift as it continues along the California Aqueduct. Further south is another important branch of the California.
So at this point, the aqueduct flows down, and at the east branch of the California Aqueduct, that is where our water goes. It enters the Pear Blossom pumping plant near Palmdale, where a 450-foot lift to Lake Silverwood, then down to Devil Canyon Power Plant, and then to the Romer. As you can see, it's a lot of infrastructure that goes into the state project water.
The forks of the Feather River feed into Lake Oroville, which is
Yeah. Oroville Dam, 770 feet.
I'm not quite done. Sorry. We had a little bit of a glitch here.
We're coming.
%. Yep. 4. Yeah, only 4. It is-
So how does that affect West Valley? Well, the benefits of state project
We don't need it.
water are that it is a supplemental water supply which diversifies our water supply portfolio. It provides us access to surface water that originates in the wettest part of the state and allows us water for groundwater recharge, and is a very cost-effective water supply. This May, we were extremely fortunate, 2 board members and 3 staff members, to be able to join others on a tour of the state project water. There were 36 attendees, regular citizens, staff members from other agencies, board members, student fellows. And this was sponsored by the Metropolitan Water District and by Valley District. It was a very informative tour that we were received, and it was a 3-day tour. The first day we were at the Sacramento Weir, which is constructed to protect the city of Sacramento from flooding. On day 2, we were able to go up to the Oroville Dam, which at that time was pretty much all the way full. It was also we got to see water coming over the spillway. And then on that day, we were also able to go to the Sites Reservoir Joint Powers Authority, where we learned of the proposed Sites Reservoir and went out to the reservoir location, which we stood in a spot where it would be underwater potentially in the future. It's an off-stream reservoir located just or proposed to be located just off of Maxwell in Northern California.
The proposed location for Sites Reservoir is uniquely situated as a natural bowl in the earth. For an off-river reservoir, this is the perfect location to store extra water for dry years. Sites would stretch 13 miles long from north to south and 4 miles wide from east to west. When full, the reservoir would be around 260 feet deep, from surface to floor at its lowest point. The reservoir can hold up to 1.5 million acre-feet of water, enough to serve 7.5 million people with water for an entire year. Once constructed, it will be the 8th largest reservoir in California. The hills surrounding the reservoir will naturally hold in most of the water in Sites. Where the hills drop too low, dams will be built to keep the water contained. The reservoir has 2 primary dams, Sites Dam and Golden Gate Dam, not to be confused with dams that block waterways and rivers. The dams that are part of Sites Reservoir will not dam any major river or impede fish migration. Sites Dam and Golden Gate Dam are 267 feet and 287 feet tall, respectively, and up to 1,300 feet wide at their bases. Sites would also include 9 small dams and dikes to top off the ridges and hold the water at the right level. The saddle dams and dikes range in height between 10 and 120 feet. The proposed
So on day 3, we went to the Delta Conveyance Design and Construction Authority, where we learned of the proposed Delta Conveyance Project. The Conveyance Project and the Sites Reservoir are 2 separate projects and are not dependent on each other. The proposed Delta Conveyance Project will have 2 intakes off the Sacramento River, which connects north of the Delta and terminates at Bethany Reservoir. At this point, we traversed the pipeline or tunnel that will be constructed. It will be 145-mile tunnel, approximately 150 feet below ground, 36 feet in diameter, and the tunnel machine will progress approximately 2 miles per year. Tunnel machine is a large rotating cutting head with maximum of 4 of the machines doing tunnels at the same time. Precast concrete tunnel segments, these rings at the bottom, will be placed as the boring machine progresses. The excavated soil will potentially be repurposed, including potential levee improvements. The tunnel will be built for the big one, whereas levees can be possibly fail. Extreme weather is leading to less snow and more rain in the winter months, so California is expected to lose about 10% of its water supply by 2040, so upgrades are needed in the decades-old infrastructure. I've left some information on the Delta Conveyance Project and other websites at the dais, and you can visit some other websites for more information. Do you have any questions?
Hey. All right. Does anyone have any questions for Linda?
I do. On that, on the Delta project, was it getting challenged by CEQA? I think they were talking about those discussions. I'm not really sure much about that, but.
So just today, with the Delta Conveyance Project, the CEQA has been completed and certified. There are some challenges taking place to that. But even before that, there was an injunction sought to enjoin DWR from simply doing soils investigations to even start the investigation process for the construction. And just today, a court ruled that yes, that soil work cannot proceed until there is another approval from the Delta Stewardship Council under the Delta Reform Act. So the Delta Conveyance Project has CEQA done, but it still is getting challenged on the CEQA project, on the CEQA approval, 1, and 2, on simply starting the soils investigation project. So it's moving forward, but there are challenges at every step.
So this, not that you would know, but maybe you do, but so this would, I'm just wondering, this doesn't qualify as one of their CEQA exemptions because of the magnitude of the project?
So that's a very good point. The CEQA process itself has been completed. On the sites project, that is also subject to the streamlining, but the streamlining for CEQA wouldn't impact what has to be done under the Delta Reform Act, which is a separate law. So there's CEQA permit streamlining to get that done, but there's also the Delta Reform Act and the Stewardship Council that, as of today, a court is saying they need to get approval there too. DWR does, to simply start the soils investigation.
Well, thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Well, I guess I just had a comment. Obviously, I attended the event presented by San Bernardino Valley Water. What a fantastic educational experience. I was extremely impressed with what they had to offer.
And my comment is I'm jealous for those who attended, and thank you for the presentation. Very well put together. Thank you.
This was a remarkable presentation. It kind of goes when you're out there, it matches that. And so it kind of brings back the memory and brings back your memory to what you saw, what you've seen. But for the average guy that hasn't been there, what a great educational tool when you talk about infrastructure and the need to get money for it on different propositions and things like that. Just a great, great tool. So thank you. It's a great educational tool.
Yeah, I would just say there is some good news on sites. So the sites project also had to do CEQA, and it was completed and certified under the CEQA streamlining process, and the court ruled that the CEQA was valid and was appropriate. And the folks that are challenging that CEQA document had 5 days to file an appeal. They filed an appeal, but the good news is, at least on the site side, that the CEQA was deemed to be valid by the court. The streamlining process got that challenge to court very much quicker than if it hadn't been part of the CEQA streamlining part.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much, Linda. Really appreciate it. I'm glad members of the staff and the board got to attend. I'm sorry I couldn't have made it myself. I would have liked to have seen some of that. I know when I first got on the board, I was lucky enough to do a 3-day tour of the Delta, which was very enlightening. Although I didn't do the Met version of it, I did more the Northern California perspective, which was all the more entertaining because we were outnumbered about 5 to 1 with people from the North, but it definitely lets you see why it's so political, because you have the people in the North, you have the people in the South, but then you also have all the people in the Delta who have their own mindset about it too. But it's, you know, really important to kind of see why that infrastructure is very important. I know I was very much a skeptic of the tunnel when I first got on the board, but after standing on the levees and realizing what one earthquake could conveyance, and as one person on my tour described, it was the best, worst idea that we had left at that point, because all the other ideas had been shot down. So here we are. But it's important that we have a way to convey water without affecting the wildlife, and the tunnel is kind of the best option we have at this point. So, but yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think these videos might also be very helpful to our external affairs team in helping to maybe educate the public on the importance of these projects and what they mean for West Valley. So I would maybe encourage you all to share that with them. So thank you.
I expect we'll see more tours from Valley in the future. We'll keep you in the loop.
Weekend would be really nice if
Weekends.
they could do weekends. Doing it in the week is really hard for those of us who still work. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate that. So now we will move on to the consent calendar. So, board, we have 4 items on the consent calendar tonight. Unless anyone has any items they'd like to pull for separate consideration, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
Motion to adopt the consent calendar.
I second.
Okay, we have a first, a second. Any discussion? Seeing none.
Thank you. I'll do roll call. Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Garcia,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins.
Yes.
President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now that takes us to business matter. We have 2 items on the business so we'll start with number 5, which is a resolution declaring the election for November 2024.
Yes, well, it's that time to call for elections, and really, I guess I'm going to turn this over to Elvia for the details of this.
Very brief, this before you, President Young and honorable board members, is a resolution declaring the elections for the County of San Bernardino for 3 positions or 3 board members that are going to be, whose terms are going to be up in December. First of which is District Number 1, currently held by Director Garcia. District Number 4, currently held by Director Hawkins, and District Number 5 by President Young. These resolutions then will call the election and request the counties, San Bernardino and Riverside, to assist in conducting the elections, and it'll also authorize me to fill out paperwork that's necessary and conduct communications with both of the counties in order to complete the elections. So we've got, what else? 2 resolutions in front of you, first of which is resolution number 2024-02 and 2024-03.
And
Any
we'd recommend
questions?
a separate motion for each resolution.
Wouldn't be covered under one item, or?
Well, because there's 2 different counties going to 2 different places, it's
We want
just
2
better to
votes.
have 2 different
Okay.
votes.
Gotcha.
Yes, and I do want to mention that also in this it was a recommendation from BBK to also include in the resolutions that the counties should communicate with each other in order to conduct it. We had a little bit of a hiccup, I guess, at the last election with the counties not communicating. Now we're requesting them to communicate with each other in order to assist with that. So that's included in this language as well.
Oh, I can't believe the 2 counties wouldn't talk to each other. It's a county employee myself.
No comment.
Yeah. All right, any questions for staff, board? Pretty typical for this time of year, so if there's no questions, we'll entertain a motion. But it sounds like we'll need 2 motions, one for each resolution, correct?
Correct, yes. So the first one will be approval of resolution number 2024 entitled, "A Resolution of the Board of Directors of West Valley Water District calling a general election to be held on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024 for the election of members of the Board of Directors for Districts 1, 4, and 5 as required by the provisions of law of the State of California and requesting
That's a
election
mouthful.
services from County of Riverside for jurisdiction in District 1.
All right, you all got that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you repeat
I don't know if we have to say the entire name of the entire, do we have
Ditto.
to say, Jeff, can we say approval of resolution 2024?
2024-02.
Class
Oh,
02,
is that better?
okay,
Okay.
all right.
We'll do it that way.
I
Better be
make
safe
that,
than sorry.
yes, yes. I make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-02 for San Bernardino County. And then do
Riverside.
we have to do one for Riverside County?
Yeah, so the first one is for, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 02 is for Riverside, so if you just say 02, you're fine. And
Okay.
We'll go to 03 after.
Resolution. Yes, I make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-02
I
on the
second
advice of
that.
council.
I second that motion.
Seeing here, I was hoping somebody would practice their auctioneer skills and just run through that real quick. So, any discussion on that? We have a first and a second.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call.
Okay.
Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Thank you, Director Moore.
Yes.
Garcia?
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins?
Yes.
President Young?
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, and so now resolution 2024-03.
Thank you.
Exactly.
And I get a motion.
I motion that we adopt resolution 2024-03.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second.
A second.
Okay, we have a second.
Thank you. We'll take a roll call. Director Hawkins?
Yes.
Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Garcia,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins.
Yes.
President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. All right, so that takes us to item 6, which is our operating budget. Bill?
Thank you very much, President Young and board members. It's my pleasure to go over the budget adoption this evening. Before we do that, just kind of a little backdrop. We first took a proposed budget on June 4th to the Finance Committee. Out of the Finance Committee session, there were some suggested changes, and those were incorporated into our June 8th budget workshop. At the budget workshop session, we had some additional adjustments that were recommended. They have been incorporated into the budget that you have tonight. And then in addition, we met with Director Hawkins and Director Garcia separately since they were unable to make our workshop and they wanted to be briefed and brought up to date. So we met separately with them and received input from them. So the information that we have tonight includes all the data that we got from various board member, but also operationally, we found that there were a couple items that we felt that we needed to add. With that, when we talk tonight, there's 9 adjustments that I'm going to share with you that have occurred since the budget workshop on June 8th. So I'll go over each of those 9 adjustments with you to give some clarification and then get board input on those if we want to proceed making those adjustments or not make the adjustments. So if you go to page 2 of your presentation, this budget summary is what was presented at the June 8th workshop. It tells you where we are comparing our 22-23 actual results, current budget for 23-24, our forecast for the current year ending June 30th, and then our proposed budget for 24-25. As you can see that we're proposing total revenues of $42.1 million. That is in line with what we've seen in the recent past. This past year, we unfortunately had a wet weather. It's good that we had a lot of rain, but we didn't sell as much water as we thought, so our operating revenues were slightly less than we anticipated. Our proposed budget's assuming that we are not going to have our 3rd wet year in a row and that we're going to go back to our more normal level. So our operating revenues are going to be in line at $33.1 million. Our non-operating revenues we've pegged them at $9 million this year, and that's slightly up over what we did last year in our budget of 5.3. And it's really for 2 reasons. We've done much better in our investment program. And secondly, we have a contract in place with Niagara for $1 million. So our operating revenues are budgeted this year at $9 million. So we anticipate that's a strong number, and it might be a little bit on the conservative side. On the expenditure side, our operating expenditures were showing at $34.5 million. In our discussions tonight and our adjustments, we are going to have some adjustments to that. Some will go up and some will go down. Our debt service is relatively flat at $2 million this year. Our expected our expected income before our capital program at $5.6 million. This year, our capital improvement program, we're anticipating $37.8 million. Now, the reason for that is our Romer project is up and running, and we're spending a lot of money to get it completed. We anticipate getting it completed by June of next year or July of next year is the anticipated completion date of that large project. We do have multiple other projects we did share with you. So total expenditures this year is $74.3 million. From that, we're going to be pulling $32.2 million out of our reserves this year. That's a little bit misleading because we're taking money out, but we're also getting funding back from the state of California for the SRF loan. So it's really a kind of a misnomer, but we have to show that the money's going out, and then we also are having money coming back in from the state loan. The net at the end of the year is going to be a net surplus of 0, net deficit of 0. Next slide. Since we met, we had multiple adjustments that have come into play. We had 9 adjustments, and I wanted to go over each and every one of them with you. Myself and Gustavo went back and took another look at our interest investment program, and we looked at the timing of when we're going to get payments from the state of California on our SRF loan. With that, we realized that we will be able to earn approximately another $300,000 based upon interest rates that are projected for the upcoming year. So we wanted to add that into our budget tonight, knowing that we're going to end up better off than we had initially anticipated. Budget number 2 is taking a look at the employee labor expense for the district. We previously had it pegged at 10.8 million, and we realized that we had overstated that. We were making an adjustment of about $500,000 for the overstatement. When we did our calculations, we made some computational errors, and we wanted to get the record corrected for that. So there's about a $500,000 adjustment downward for that. We're still anticipating, and what we're doing here is we're including the 4% COLA adjustment per the MOU agreements. Any employee that is scheduled for their step increase or step increase that they're entitled to will be receiving it. So the labor portion is correctly stated at this point. We went back and made sure that it was done correctly, and there was an adjustment as a result. From the administration standpoint, we've had some requests internally from staff on items that we feel that are important and that we did not include in the budget. We're adding $150,000 of proposed cost for a security site assessment, hazard mitigation policy, an ERP. We're taking a look at our ERP system and our RRA. We have some adjustments there. The total of those 4 activities are proposed at $150,000. Adjustment number 4 is the outreach. We had a request to add some additional scholarships. Currently, we had $2,000 this year for high school scholarships set aside. If you recall, at the last board meeting, we had the 2 award winners there. We've increased it as a result of the request to $5,000, so we're going to be able to do an additional 3 $1,000 scholarships. That's the anticipated increase, so a $3,000 increase there. We also had an increase for additional activities for community events in the promotional area. That includes items such as promotional giveaways that we have, like at Earth Day and other events that we attend. We want to be able to get the district's mission out there, and we felt that that's an important way of doing that. Along with, there's been a demand in the community for bottled water, and it's good to get our name out there, so we increased that $4,000. The next item, item number 7, is, I should say, item number 6. Sponsorships related to local community and water-based industry organizations. This past year, we had budgeted $7,500 in that area, and we want to be able to increase that, so we've increased it another $4,000 to make sure that we're covering the additional activities. The board has been involved deeply in many industry-based activities and organizations, so we felt that there was an increased need in that particular area. And then finally, this item number 9 relates to the finance customer service area. As you know, we're doing a changeover to the iPay Smart program for the credit cards. As part of that, there's a ramp down that we didn't anticipate. Leaving the Tyler Encode system, we have certain residual costs that we're responsible for. We have a 30-day noticing period for them. And in addition, we thought we were going to have a July 1st implementation, and it looks like an August 1st implementation. So we're incurring an additional $30,000 of cost that we didn't think we had. So this is tail end of costs under the old way of doing business that will lop into this year. The sum total of these changes are to the good for the district. It includes a net revenue increase of $601,500. Next slide. Now I have provided a handout to the board members. The slide in this particular deck had a clerical error in it, so I apologize for that. But we wanted to give you a workshop version, which is the before version of where we showed a gross margin before our CIP. Gross margin is if you were in a business that was selling not under a government entity, but a retail business. Gross profit is your profit before taxes and depreciation. So here we have a $5.9 million operating margin for the district. Taking a look at it after the judgments or adjustments that are proposed, that'll take it up to a $6.5 million margin. So we're actually increasing the bottom line by $600,000. That $600,000 will end up going to help pay for the CIP program. So it's important that we do it. We felt that we wanted to bring both the good adjustments and the bad adjustments into the board to see everything that's transpired. Part of it was requests that internally that staff overlooked the first time. Part of it is requests that the board members felt it was important. And then we had the computational error that we ended up with. So all in all, when we get done, we end up in a positive situation by 6.3 million, or 6.3 margin versus a 5.9 margin. So the budget that you have before you, if you decide to adopt it, will include the 9 adjusted changes. So the board action tonight would be to adopt the budget as amended with the 9 adjustments, therefore increasing it by the $601,000. So that I'm going to stop at this point and see if there's any questions. I'd like to get board input going back, if we could, to the slide on the adjustments that showed the $601,000 adjustments.
Can we go back one slide?
That's that slide. So just going through it, I was hopeful that we picked all the information that each of the board members had requested of us. For example, I know that Angela, you had recommended that we may need 1 additional photographer session. So we added that in. So that particular item went from 5,000 to 7,500. Kelvin, you were the one that requested that we increase the scholarships. We made sure that we did that. Angela also asked that we make sure that we have additional funding for promotional items in bottled water. As we're getting the message out to the community and branding our new mission, she felt that we should increase that area so that we'd be able to put our best foot forward. So we tried to include each of those adjustments that were in there. Channing had asked more for the water industry-based organizations, so we included additional funding in there. So we tried to take everybody's request into account to come up with those. And I put my $30,000 in to make sure that we were covering the additional Tyler costs. So I'm hopeful that we covered everybody's requests, but we're open for discussion and any other thoughts that the board may have.
Now, I don't see it listed here, Bill, but I know after I think it was it the Finance Committee or the workshop that we talked about adding the support, the line item for the grant writer? Was that also added in there, or was that previous?
We did include the grant writer in the budget for the $150,000.
Okay, so that's the 150 that's on here then? Or
No,
is that something
this is
different?
additional 150,000.
Gotcha. Okay, so that one was already in there.
That's incorporated.
Okay,
Yeah, that made it in prior to the workshop.
gotcha. Okay.
and it was 100,000.
Oh, was it 100? Okay. That was some of the adjustments that went from June 4th to June 8th.
Gotcha. Okay. Any questions from board members?
I want to thank Bill and the finance team for the job in putting together this budget and really doing the job of, putting us in a very strong fiscal position. I want to thank the finance committee, who I know did a lot of diligent work in putting this budget together and really being able to do what the ratepayers want us to do. And so I really appreciate the work Dan and Greg has done. The only minor adjustment I want to make sure that we have is to the sponsorships for community events, or not for the community events, but industry-based organizations. I think we need an additional 7,500 in there. There's one or two groups I want to make sure that we, as a board, are supporting, like WELL and CAWEF and others, that we want to make sure that we're full members in good standing with those organizations. And I must apologize for not being there at the workshop where I would have brought it up prior, and I know it's not due to anything the staff didn't do along the process or the board members didn't do. It's just something I neglected, but I would like to make that minor adjustment.
So is it 75 on from the 13.5 or from the 17.5?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Channing, you want to go for the outreach. It was 7,500. I pumped it to 11,500. Do you want to add another 75 on top of 11,500?
Well, I think
yeah.
he's talking about number 6, right?
Wait, hold on. Additional, no, not additional number. I apologize.
Oh,
Item
is it number 7?
7, additional funds for sponsorship to local community and water industry-based organizations.
Yes.
That's representative of 11.5, right?
No.
That's 11.
Looks like it's
30.
25 and it went to 30.
25 to 30.
Okay, yeah. So we need to add another 5 to that.
Okay.
7,500 to that. Mm-hmm.
So
Another 7,500 to that.
An-
So-
so 37.5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we will adjust that one from 30 to 37.5. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for the record, we'll make that change.
Okay.
So 609.
Any other adjustments or questions?
Yeah, I have a question on Channing's addition.
Mhm.
So is that for sponsorship to attend those, like to attend well, or attend for as a scholarship?
No, they're not sponsorships for attend. Is each organization, they have members of the organizations, water districts, that support their general programming on a yearly basis to ensure that we're supporters like Metropolitan and other water districts who support these organizations to make sure, in addition to what we're doing scholarship-wise,
Yeah.
or participation by individual board members.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that most of our attendance stuff falls under the general
Mhm.
or administrative budget and not
Yeah.
the public affairs
Correct.
budget,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
what this would be in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions, comments? I'll just thank Bill and Gustavo and everybody. I mean, y'all have done a great job on this budget, and I know this is Dan and I's third time seeing this in about as many weeks as it almost feels like, but we really do appreciate all the hard work that everybody and the team has put into this, and all the managers. You know, all, I think, put together a really good budget this year.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to the board for all your effort and your input too. I mean, we got a lot of great input, and I think we have a budget that's very workable for the district, and one that I think that will be very good for the ratepayers.
Yeah. Okay. If there's no further questions, we have a budget recommendation in front of us, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt it as amended.
I motion that we adopt the budget as amended.
So it's the,
Oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry, it's the resolution, is it just one of staff recommendations to approve to adopt the resolution, or is it also 2 and
It's-
3?
I think it's all those things, right?
Yes, it's all three.
Did all three?
Yep.
Recommendations? Okay.
Yes, so there's 3 recommendations.
So those can all be taken together, but to your point, adopt the resolution with the budget as amended.
Yeah, which would include items 1 through 3.
Correct.
Okay, so we have a first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any discussion?
Great job, Bill.
Great
Sorry.
job.
Great job, Bill.
Great job.
Repeat, who was the first? Who motioned?
Dan?
Thank you, Dan.
And then Calvin.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call vote. Director Moore,
Yes.
Director Hawkins,
Yes.
Director Garcia,
Yes.
Vice President Jenkins,
Yes.
President Young.
Yes.
That passes 5-0. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Budget in place. Woohoo. All right, now that'll take us to reports. Do any board members have any outside meetings that they need to report for billing purposes this evening?
Last night I went to the Juneteenth program at Ferguson Park. It was a good program. My kids, we had the played a hand of bid whisk. We had some fried Twinkie. I never had one before yesterday. It was a good time had by all. I think that's the only outside meeting I've been to thus far. Let me see.
I have something to report. 14, I met with the Chamber of Commerce. On the 15th, I attended the ribbon cutting of Stage Red in downtown Fontana. This Monday, I attended the ASBCD monthly meeting. And that's it.
Any other outside meetings not on the schedule?
Oh, and I had a meeting on the 18th with my counsel regarding one of our legal matters.
I had to report that earlier this week I attended the ASBCD meeting over in Rancho. And the previous week I was at the conference for AWA, AWWA, something that we were introduced while back in DC. And it was pretty impressive, the amount of vendor shows, demonstrations. Highly recommend that others might attend. And I participated in a leadership course while I was there.
Yeah, I went to the Rialto Men's Health Fair last Wednesday. Monday we did the ASBCSD at Old Spaghetti Factory, and last night Ferguson Park for the Juneteenth celebration, and it was most well attended. It's the second one, but it was actually better. And I saw our water there, so thank you very much. We need to work on getting more of us there. But it was really good, and it was a very, very good turnout. And everybody had a great time to see the kids playing volleyball with the cops and one-on-one basketball. It was just amazing. That park was just jumping. And they had like 16 food trucks there. But it was really good. It's a very good turnout. Great family event.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any board committee reports this evening?
I do. Let me see here. So our, no, that's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't have it. I thought I did. Never mind. Psych.
Do you have a report?
Yeah, for HR, the 1,000-hour temporary position for purchasing was discussed. And that's pretty much it that we discussed. That was it.
We had our finance committee meeting earlier this month, which led to our special meeting earlier this month on the Saturday, which led us to today adopting a budget. So I'm happy to report.
You're here. All right, general reports from board members.
I do have a general report. So the Fontana Chamber has invited West Valley Water District to be on their podcast to talk about how we serve our communities. So I look forward to working with John and Public Affairs on this podcast.
Okay.
Oh, and tomorrow we'll be hosting a tour of our district with Supervisor Jesse Armendariz.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm wanted to make a board report. Is with mixed emotions that I have to inform my colleagues that I will be resigning my position from the West Valley Water District Board of Directors the first meeting in August. My family and I are growing in size. I've tried as much as I can. I go back to Linda when I first got here, she said we outgrew this building, and then COVID happened, and then I got to dodge that bullet. But after 8 years, I cannot dodge the bullet with our home. And so we will be moving out of the district, and I wanted to announce it before the deadline so the board can make a contemplation as far as what it wants to do, or individuals who would be interested in stepping forward to have the opportunity. I want to thank President Greg Young. I think I'm gonna have to come back, and probably when I go, I'm gonna probably need a little minute. 'Cause I'm not going tonight, but I want to know that it's been a lot of prayer, fasting, and contemplation in doing this. Is not easy because I've been here for almost 5 years now, and a lot has taken place. But when I started, this scripture kind of helped me to understand what I was doing on December 5th of 2019, and it still guides me now. And it's Isaiah 43:19. It says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness, in streams in a wasteland." And when I began here, the district was in a very tumultuous state. Every single type of issue was probably at issue. And for some reason, the board of directors put me in charge of guiding the ship at that point. And we are in a completely different time and place than what I committed to sign up to do, which was to serve the people and to ensure that the district was more accountable, more responsive, more fiscally responsible, and more efficient in delivering service for its ratepayers. That task has been done. And that task has been done because of the board members that I'm with now. President Greg Young, Vice President Dan Jenkins, Director Angie Garcia, and Kelvin Moore. This is, probably news to some. No, I'm not running for city council, mayor, Senate supervisor,
You should.
I even heard
Yeah.
Congress before. You guys don't know. Phone calls I've gotten over the last 5 years. I want to thank you to the people of District 4, stretching from Rialto and Bloomington, that little thumbprint over in Riverside. It was with great confidence and hope when I was elected in 2019. And it was even more hope when I was appointed the president of this board. I also want to thank, and the reason why I feel that it's the time that I can move forward is because of the staff. The district has new leadership, not only from the board of directors, but leadership from the general manager. That makes me feel confident on where the district is headed. The CFO, who I know to be a man of integrity. Our new general counsel, who has done just a superb job in being a general counsel and providing advice and guidance to the staff, the board, and the staff. Also want to thank the clerk of the board for coming into this job. You had some very big shoes to fill with Peggy. You know, she had 40 years to get it all right, and you've come in and done a great job and have put innovation in the forefront of how you handle the board and dealt with us. I want to thank Joanne for just being just a trooper through, and just a vigilant professional, consummate professional in many occasions and situations that I've seen, and I've just seen just a level of decorum and just excellence that I've seen you exude time and time again. Want to thank our HR director, Haiti. You know, it's sometimes tough when you got a former union rep and an employment lawyer as your board member and have very specific opinions about specific things related to HR. That's not easy. I want to thank our assistant general manager for stepping forward after so many years of working in this district, and you know, and just taking on the helm of leadership and guiding us through our $50+ million project, growing every day. I want to thank Socorro for her leadership in public. They're probably hard assignment, having somebody who served as staff for so long, board members, and feels like they know how to write a sign and write a speech or write a press release. And so that hasn't all, you know, that's always something to have to endure. I mean, the list can go on, and I don't want to take all the time tonight because I just decided that, you know, we're gonna do it, and so it is what it is. And I just thank everyone for what they've done, how much they have poured into me, whether it was a smile, whether it was a hi, whether it was just, you know, an encouraging word or just doing your job. It has meant a lot. There have been a lot of sleepless nights in service here, but I rest easy knowing what this district has done and what it is doing, and that it is really starting to chart a path not only for our region with programs like IE Works and how it's collaborating and cooperating with our county partners, with our city partners, with our wholesaler, with IUA, Fontana, I think Rubidoux Community Service District, all of them. And there's just so much cooperation and collaboration that is occurring, and that's just a testament to everyone in this room and what you're doing. And so I thank you for what you've done. I thank you for what I know you're going to continue to do. And, you know, I continue on the next month and a half so or service, but that's, you know, what I have to say this evening. And so thank you to everyone.
All right. Well,
Well, I like to say, one, I'm surprised because, in a sad way, because you've been such a mentor to us, or to me specifically, and I know that you grabbed the reins of this district and really captained the ship during some rough waters, and you've always impressed me, and I truly will miss you. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of well-spoken words between now and that day as well. Some proclamations coming your way. But, you've definitely impressed me, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a few words for you, Channing.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm like, Daphne's over there. When she start off that line, I'm like, oh, man. No, I'm just playing.
You're leaving at the top. You're leaving when you've given so much of your time to us, knowing how valuable your time is. You got us to where we are here. And you said, like you said, the ship is running and it's running smooth, but it wasn't always running with very smooth sailings. And you probably got the heart of it all, you know, when you started. But look at us now. We're a pretty solid team.
Yeah.
And it hurts me to see you leave, because you're going to leave a very big void, and now we don't know what to expect because everything's going so good. But I'm really surprised, but I know you're leaving for a good reason. And you're leaving on your own terms, probably, as they say, moving on up. But we're going to miss you, and I'm actually speechless. But I'm sorry to see you leave, and thank you for everything that you've done for our West Valley Water District.
Calvin, you have anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, you know. Y'all know. But yeah, you've done what you're supposed to do here. God has another plan for you, and you got to go out on faith and do what He asks you to do. Just like water moves, water's life. We got to move with it. So if your time and you're leaving on top, you made an incredible difference. And take that with you, you know, because we got it with us. And we always here for you. You know, you got my number. You know, we're going to still talk, pray, all those things we need to do. So, you know, your family. So just continue to do what you're doing in your next phase. But we wish you guys all the best. You know, me and Karen love y'all. And God's going to do some amazing things. I can't wait to see what He does. But He's not done with you yet. So anyway, I'm excited for you.
Well, Channing, I'm going to really miss you, man. In many ways, I think you and I have been like foxhole buddies. You know, we had to survive on the front, you know, on the Western Front there with the bullets flying. You know, I mean, I echo the comments of my colleagues here. I mean, you know, you've had a tremendous impact here on this board, and I know I'll tremendously miss you and miss your perspective that you know, just when I think I've thought of everything, generally you're the one who brings, you know, in that lawyer's perspective and point out something that maybe we didn't think about. And so I've grown to really appreciate that and value your counsel and your advice, and just knowing how much you and I have kind of had to wade through to get to this point. And yeah, I agree. You are leaving with this place a whole lot better than where it was when you and I first got here 5 years ago. But I will miss you tremendously, but I'm happy for you and your growing family and Daphne and all the joy that's in your life right now, and wish you all the best. I'm sad to see you go, but I completely understand, and you gotta put the family first, you know, but certainly this place is a better place for having you in it, and we will all miss you tremendously. And, you know, kind of sad to see you go, but wish you all the best, truly.
Thank you.
So on that happy note, does anyone have anything else, or can we move on? All right, General Manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess before I start, I've been here 1 year and 1 day. So we've haven't had a lot of time together, but it's been very valuable time, and I've certainly learned a lot. I really appreciate your service and leadership and expertise during all of that time, and just best wishes on your new future. And definitely will miss you. So for the rest of the report, I'll just keep this a little brief tonight. Just a single update on staffing and recruitments. We have just one open position. That's for the purchasing and inventory specialist. This is currently posting until June 28th. And I think just another report, I'll just, in terms of external meetings, I attended the ASB CSD on Monday, meeting with County Supervisor Jesse Armendariz tomorrow, Fontana Chamber event on Saturday, and meeting with our Aqua rep, Sarah Hodge, on Tuesday. And that's it for me.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I can also, read the room, so I will be very brief as well. But Channing, thank you very much for the opportunity to serve as General Counsel. And I know that we'll miss you on the board, but you'll still be a fellow member of the bar. So I will see you around. So thank you.
All right. I do know that we do need to discuss some of our calendar, particularly for July. So I know.
Yeah, we can skip the June. Just
Yeah.
a note. Previous slide, please, Albert. Just a previous note. We do have one special finance meeting that's going to be finance committee meeting that's going to be happening next Wednesday. Policy committee was canceled to allow more time to present a lot more information for July. So we'll move on to July really quick. We do have an already scheduled first meeting of the month that's on a holiday. So as you can see there on the calendar, we can move it up by a day. We can move it back by a week, but then you'd have back-to-back meetings. And the third option is to combine the agendas, because we've had relatively small agendas, so that we have one agenda for July on actually it would be the 8th on the 18th. Yes.
All right. What's the board's thoughts? You guys want to reschedule, push it back to the 18th, push it back to the 11th?
I would recommend we do it on the 18th.
Combining.
Everybody okay with that?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
If there's no opposition, we don't need to take a vote. We'll just make that administrative change. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll obviously cancel the 4th, and everybody enjoy their Independence Day, and we'll be back on the 18th then.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, was there any other changes that we need to discuss on the calendar, or was that the big
No,
one?
that was pretty much the only other thing. I do want to remind you, I did send you all your bios for update that we'd like to do for updating the website relatively soon. If we can get them the first week of July back, that'd be great. That'll give you a couple of weeks to mull it over. And then also, I did send you an email. We've got CSDA annual conferences coming up, and I want to get you registered if you're going to attend. So if you can respond to that and RSVP. Okay, that's it.
All right, anything else?
I'd like to mention, since we're not having a meeting, happy 4th of July to everyone.
4th of July.
Indeed. All right, well, if there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.